I feel like I'm looking in the wrong place though. So because am I looking in your eyes?
No, you are not, but it's okay.
It's fine.
I,
We
I,
can roll
I
like
can
that.
see you. I can see you were looking.
Okay, cool,
Yes, we
wonderful.
can.
But I mean, you're a director. You can work with any camera angle,
Something like that, yeah.
something like that. All right, I'm just gonna kick it off. Can I start? Mr. Barry Jenkins. So, from watching Lion King with your sister's kids over 80 times, right? Did you consult them when this mammoth task was handed to you about the direction you're going to take in directing Mufasa the Lion King?
Interesting. No, I did not consult them. That's the first time I've ever gotten that question. But I did tell them that I was doing the film, and when I did, they were all, my sister especially, first they didn't believe me.
Oh,
They were very surprised, and then of course they were very excited. It's the first time they've told me not to mess something up, which was very strong advice.
because I mean, from what 1993, 1994, this is a movie that meant so much to you guys. And what I liked what you said in another interview, you said that perhaps the biggest tool here is realizing that we didn't know much about Mufasa. Was that more daunting? The
Exactly.
fact that we like knew nothing, was it more daunting for you as a task?
It wasn't more daunting. It was interesting because I grew up in a family, a black family in America, and sometimes there are certain things that we don't know about some of the elders in our family, and you only learn these things later in life. And I sort of related the experience of learning these things about Mufasa and telling them in this movie to that. I have uncles, I have a grandfather who you grow up, you know these people for 15, 18 years, and then only when you're 22 do you learn the story of this thing that happened to them or that they did back in the 1970s, and you go, wait, what? And you realize, oh, that's the reason you are the way you are.
That is
And
so
so
insightful.
yeah, and so it was kind of the experience of that, of reading this the first time, because for 30 years it's almost like you've only known this relative this one way, and then you learn this story, and it's like, wow, now I understand this other part of you, but now I feel like I know you in a deeper way. That was my experience with this film.
I only got to watch 30 minutes of the movie because the Disney NDAs are tight.
39 minutes. You saw 39 minutes and 15 seconds.
What I can tell you is that I felt like you directed it like it was an epic. I felt like I was watching Gladiator and Troy, but in the savannah. Was that the approach you were taking?
In some ways, there are some really big sequences in the beginning of this film. I often feel like, I worked with this actress Tuso Mbedu on this series,
Underground
The
Railroad.
Underground Railroad. Yeah, and Tuso was amazing. And what I said to her was, the beginning of this journey is going to be so intense for you because it takes an extreme circumstance to dislodge this character out of her normal circumstances to get her to the point where she will go on this journey. With Mufasa, it's the same way. It takes these extreme happenings, these big epic happenings, to set all these things in motion for Mufasa and Scar to go on the journey that they do. And so I felt like, yeah, the first 40 minutes, there was a lot, this big epic that happens. We still have epic moments throughout, but then once we establish our characters, we really get to spend time with them, and all their families.
And as much as it's a prequel and it's letting us into everything that happened to Mufasa to result in the way that it was, I love the way you brought the comedy still, because I don't want people to think that this is a serious movie. There's so much comedy with Timon and Pumbaa, and it is so current. Was that also on purpose?
Yeah, it was on purpose. I think that my editor is not here in the room with me. I wish she was for these interviews now, because I think she would enjoy this. But we make these very serious movies theoretically, but we have fun doing it. We kind of have to. I think it's the only way to sort of get through the process of making something so heavy. The only thing was in this case, the fun that we have making it, it was allowed to make its way into the movie itself. So Timon and Pumbaa are funny. I think Taka and Obasi are funny also as well. Zazu Rafiki is going to enter the film, played by this great comedian named Kagiso.
Latifa?
Kagiso brings so much life. Exactly, he brings so much life, so much humor into the performance of that character. Unfortunately, he comes in at minute 43, so you just
Oh,
missed him. But yeah, we wanted to pair both. What I love about The Lion King, you get to be as big and epic as you want to be, but also as fun, as comedic as you want to be as well. And then you have the songs.
And then I'm going to wrap it up.
Real quick.
Who had it harder? John Favreau, who had to retell an important story, or you, who has to set the scene before the important story?
I think John Favreau had the hardest task anyone could possibly have. It's one thing to step into these characters people have loved for 30 years. It's another thing to redo these characters that people have loved for 30 years. So I think he had the hardest task. And I think this movie, I think so much of what we're doing, it comes in the wake of what he did. The animators learned how to animate the characters. I think the audience learned how to view the characters. And then we got to step in and sort of take the energy they had left us with and just take it to the next level. So I think he definitely had the harder task.
Thank you so much for your time. 20th of December, the world is going to shake, and all because of you and your cast. Thank you very much, Mr. Jenkins.
I love it. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Anele and the club
on 947.